Hello, everyone. So we have another AIME problem. So this was 2023 AIME 2 on the number 2, okay? So we have a polydrome problem. It says find the largest integer that is less than 1,000. Okay, that will be a polydrome, both written in base 10 and base 8, okay? For example, we are given 292, that's base 10, and 444 in base 8, okay? So we are looking for the largest integer that is lesser than 1,000. So like there are a couple of ways to explore this, explore this problem or approach this problem. So one of the ways maybe to try, we are looking for a number lesser than this guy, right? So if you see like this number in base 8, and that will give us some idea. Let's try that as well. So to do so, I'm going to just write the power of 8 just to kind of start with. So 8 to the second power is 64. 8 to the third is like, if you multiply this by 8, so 8, 6, 48, which is 480. 8 times 4 is 32, which is going to be 512 if you add them. So if you take the fourth power of 8, that will be 8 times of this guy, but that will be way bigger than 1,000, which is why we cannot use fourth power of 8. So again, I'm going to do it a little bit tedious way first now. Okay, so let's try saying that if I multiply this by 2, I will get over 1,000, which is not going to be multiplied by 2. So if I write 1,000 in base 8, so I should be starting with 1 times 8 to the third power. So when I do this, 1,000 is going to be my sum. So if I subtract this guy, so which is 512, and that will be 8, 8, and 4. So now I need to think about what number should I multiply 64 by so I can get really close to this guy. So I cannot multiply this by 8 because when I multiply this by 8, I get this number, which is larger than this. So let's try 7. So 7 times 64. Okay, so which is 28, right? And then you got 42, which is 44. Okay, that looks good. So that will be 448. So that's going to be 40. So now, that's 7 times 8 to the second power. And now my remainder is 40, so which is a multiple of 8. So I can write 5 times 8 to the first and 0 times 8 to the 0th power. So which means 1,000, maybe it's better to write this in base 10, but let me write this way, base 10. This number is equal to 1, that's this guy, 7, and 5, and 0, and this is going to be base 8. So I'm assuming you have some base background, so which is why I'm not going to really dive into how we got these. So I hope you know what I'm doing right now. So 1,000 is the same as 1,750 in base 8. So, but we are looking for a number that is lesser than 1,000, which means my number in base 8 has to be smaller than this guy. And also, we know both numbers, like this number and this number, has to be polydrome, like this one, 292, 444. So, if that's the case, my large number I can have in base 8 as a 4-digit should start with 1 and end with 1. So which means my number should be like this, 1 something, I'm going to call that x. And to get a polydrome, so the other digit also x, and my last digit should be 1. So my largest number has to be in this form, right? Because that has to be a palindrome. So to do so, we should start with 1, as I said, and with 1. So only way that will happen, so this guy, 7, has to be lesser than this guy. So which is why this x actually has to be lesser than this guy. Otherwise, my number will be at least equal to this guy or larger than that, which is what we don't want, okay? So x could be 6, and then you can just kind of test all the values like 6 or 5 or whatever. You can test those and see which one does give you a polydrome in base 10 as well. But another way to kind of make it a bit faster, if I convert this number into base 10, that will be like 1 times 8 to the third. And then you get, which is 512 already, plus 1, and x times 8 squared, and x times 8 to the first, plus 1 times 8 to the 0. That was equal to 512 plus 1 is 513. And 64 plus 8 will be 72x. Okay, so this is my number, okay, in base 10. And then this has to be a polydrome. Okay, just keep this in mind. At this point, we can actually like plug some values for the x, and so we can see what number we are gonna get as a polydrome. Okay, so which is not really too bad idea to try. So maybe I will go ahead and do that. So 513, if I add just 72, because 513 is not a polydrome, so that will be 5, that's 8, and that's 5. Okay, this is a number that is polydrome, that's good. But let's say if this is the largest number that is smaller than 1,000, okay? So if I add 585 to another 72, which means x will be now 2, okay, so that is 7, and that's 5, that will be 6, which is not a polydrome. So if I add another 72, so that's gonna be 9, that's 2, and 7, so that's not gonna be polydrome. So if I add another 72, okay, and that will be 11. Okay, so that is 9, 0. That's gonna be 801, which is not a polydrome. And 801, let's add another 72, which is 873, which is not. So if you add another one, that's 5, 4, 9. So this is not either. And if you just add another one, so you will get something that is larger than this, which is why our answer is gonna be this number. Okay, some of you may be asking, like, is it really the way that we need to do for this question? I think there are a couple other approaches that you can really try, but since our number that we are looking for is lesser than 1,000, and the first number that we found was 585, which is not too far away from each other to add like some multiple of 72s. As you see, we just add a few times to get all the choices, and then none of them were actually working except our 585. So you can actually get this answer easily. So there are a couple of ways that I will actually ask you to try yourself and see if you can come up with another way to get the answer. One of them is actually using the modular like arithmetic. So maybe that would be a bit maybe like better for the question that is actually looking for a bit like maybe larger number, I would say. But in this case, it wasn't that bad. So I just used this this adding multiple of 72s. Okay. So I hope that makes sense, and challenge yourself with other approaches. Okay. So I'll see you in the next video.